Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Footy. We are watching today's watch-along, which is Arsenal versus West Ham. Phil, thanks for joining me. What do you think this result is going to be like? What is your prediction?
Yeah. I like the way you phrased it the first time, much better. It's going to be like so cool, man. Um, I don't know. I think Arsenal's going to shade it. By shade it, I mean like with a big crayon where they go over all the lines. I
Hmm?
can't see the other team have anything on Arsenal. And I think Arsenal can only get better after last week's display. Don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I reckon it'll be a 3-1. I think there will be some defensive frailties during the game, and it looks like we're playing the 3-4-3 formation. And what I just noticed then was Tierney is out, which is really, really bad. So I'm a bit scared. With Kolasinac in the team, Thomas the Tank
Yeah.
Engine is absolutely useless footballer. It's going to cause a lot of problems in the defence, I think. And I'm not now as confident. So we shall see. Hopefully he proves me wrong. But at this stage, I think it'll be a 3-1. And I think it'll be a closer game than one thinks. So
Yeah,
I'd
I
like.
can't see the other team scoring, despite the leaky defense you mentioned. But actually, on a tenuous little side note, because it's Arsenal playing today, and because I just thought of it, so I'd like to have a bit of a shout out to my mate Frank Rijkaard,
Right.
who beat Arsenal. I'm sorry to say, in the Champions League in '06. Uh, in fact, I remember Henri after the game saying, "I didn't see Ronaldinho anywhere," like he was sulking, like only a Frenchman can. And of course, Barca won. But Frank never gets any mention. They're always Pep Guardiola did this, all the Dutch people, but they never seem to include Frank. And I'd just like to point out to the viewing several that until Frank Rijkaard came along in 2003,
Hmm.
Barca hadn't won a thing for about 4 years, not
Hmm.
a single trophy of any kind. And Real Madrid with their Galacticos, Valencia, Deportivo La Coruña, in fact, Barcelona weren't even the top three. And then Rijkaard comes along and they win, they come runner up in his first season,
Yeah.
and then they say he should resign. Then they win two La Liga titles in a row and the Champions League. And he had a huge squad of stars that he had to manage to fit. This was an incredible moment in Barca's history.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to go even more tenuous, but in the Black Lives Matter sort of thing that's going on, I just wonder why he never gets mentioned. That's all I'll say about that. But for me, he was a fantastic player, an amazing manager,
Yeah,
and
great point. I really think that's right on. And I completely forgot that Barca didn't have that bit of that time. They didn't have that sort of prestige. They hadn't won anything for quite a while. So yeah, kudos to him for absolutely nailing it. I'm hoping that Arteta can do the same thing with us. We can finally start winning trophies. But just looking at the lineup there that I saw, and they've just started the game. Um, what I've seen is that we've sort of rested a few people, I think, because of the cup game that's coming up with Leicester, because that's
right,
week on Thursday, and that's going to be a big game because, of course, it's at Leicester's home ground, and they're going to want to play pretty tough footy. So I think having somebody like Tierney rested, I think Mikel's taking the Carabao Cup actually very, very seriously. So we shall see what's going to happen here.
well,
My,
you
my
said before, haven't you, that Arsenal in the last few years, well, Arteta's come in and he's won two trophies straight away. So according to you, you were saying that they've got this kind of winning mentality going. Yeah.
yeah,
So with
I
the
think,
cups, that might be their focus.
yeah, and I think also they're going to do is they need to test out the depth of the squad. So they're going to have to swap players around to see how they can have basically two to two and a half squads to be able to play within the Carabao Cup, Europa
Mm.
League, and the EPL before FA Cup stuff even starts. So they need to test the depth. So this is going to be a big test. And at the moment, it's just all very much in the midfield. What I'm seeing at the moment,
Mm. Mm.
we
Mm.
do
Mm.
look a little bit lethargic, I must say already, with the energy. Just because we've had quite a few hyped up games already. I mean, it's going to be a real test. Look, Jack has already thrown it into the middle of the park. Bloody
Your favourite
useless.
player.
Bloody useless, So,
Do you think you're a little bit Jacker obsessed? I mean, I think you say that word more than good morning. It's
oh yeah, well, at least I'm not a Unai Emery. Good evening, So we shall see. But it's just a liability. And then with Thomas the Tank Engine on the left-hand side without Tierney, we're in a lot of trouble. So you
yeah.
watch. I'll prove you right. That Seed Kolasinac, he is absolutely utter tribe. But it's great to see Saka in the team because he's going to add a lot of pace. So we shall see what he does today. I'm very, very excited. But look at them, the midfield. It's just useless. So slow. So slow. And look what they have to do. They're already having to defend for their lives. So slow.
Look at that bit of defending. That's yeah. Well, let's give some credit to the other team who we haven't even mentioned the name of yet, West Ham.
They're watching at the
But
moment. So
they've clearly decided they can take on for pace the Arsenal, which that's a sentence you don't hear very often, at least in my generation. Arsenal were always the quickest team on the park, just about.
But the commentary this year is very fascinating, especially watching the highlights of the Manchester United Crystal Palace game. That those teams, even in the lower, tier of the Premier League, what they've done is they've added a lot more pace to their midfield so that they can find ways to break on the counter attack. So
Yeah.
weaker teams have got a lot more pace, and Crystal Palace absolutely bossed Man United in this game. The Arsenal have to be very, very careful in this game. That's our weakness is the midfield. I've said it all year that it's slow. So if they don't watch themselves, they're just going to get run straight through, and then the defense is going to have to scramble through this game. So I don't see.
Look at how slow. Look at how slowly they're. Look how slow their build-up plays. I mean, oh man, it's killing me.
It's
It's
slow.
not the Arsenal. Yeah, it's not just that they're not really moving very much. It's that they decide things really. I sometimes wonder though with teams that win championships, maybe they don't run helter skelter the whole time. Maybe that's their secret that they just sort of move the ball around and don't wear themselves out. I don't know.
But it's
What do you reckon?
just seeing Arteta on the sideline there. That's the first time I've seen him look concerned this year, and it's just because you can see that he's getting bossed in that midfield. If you're going to have a 3-4-3 setup, you need to have at least one quick midfield. Look at it; they've already got into the box already.
Whoa.
Hands on fire, they're great. They've got as I said, it's not fire in the belly, but they were humiliated last week, and they don't want to put in another dodge performance. So they've actually turned up against the Gunners. They've turned up against the Arsenal. So we shall
Really
see.
disconnect there in that play. Hey, do you think West Ham aren't they the club that keeps raising all these excellent players for their amazing academy? Am I getting mixed up with Aston Villa maybe? And from that club, they sort of sell them off all over England, like Lampard, Ferdinand came from there. Is that West Ham or is that Aston Villa?
I think that both of them have been very high up in their youth academy. And because those teams have been really solid with it, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United have actually had to raise their game. And so now they're starting to bring people through their youth, through their academies because of the success of teams like West Ham and Aston Villa. Look at this, a free kick. Come on, this is a home game. Shocking, shocking. I think you can't say, because I know you said last time I was being absolutely negative with some of the comments that I was saying, but this is a poor showing. This is an absolute diabolical showing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't.
This is like it's like watching, I don't know. It's like watching when you're at a party and finally someone says, would you like a beer? And you say yes. And then you watch them and they keep talking to people on their way to the fridge. And you're never going to get that beer until half an hour. But you can't sort of go and get it yourself because then the friendship dies. And It's like an annoying friend that just, yeah,
Look at Ballard.
wow.
Look at how small he is. How is he supposed to defend against a forward or a midfielder that's like nearly double his height in like sideways and tallness? Bloody
I
model.
agree with you. I agree with you, but come on, Antonio he's a big unit. He's a bloody fridge of a player.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's apparently a world class right back.
Yeah. One of your other favourites. Who are your favourites in this Arsenal team? Can
Me, two of my favourites. I think
I
left
mean,
is excellent. I think
no, I mean, sorry, Matty.
Mhm.
When I say favourites, I mean favourites like Bellerin and Xhaka. They're obviously your top two. Who are your other absolute favourites? You know, the ones you really hate.
well, see, Kolasinac is Thomas the Tank Engine. That's all I would say. Choo choo,
Okay.
ma choo choo.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, a person called Lee Gunner, who's another social person for Arsenal, he calls him Thomas the Tank Engine, and I couldn't believe it because I've been saying this and thinking this thought for nearly 2 years.
It's a
Absolutely
collective subconscious. Yeah. There's a
useless.
lot of shadow in there.
There's at least with Thomas the Tank Engine, you get more substance because he travels somewhere and does something useful. He entertains children. What does Sid Kolasinac do? He's Mesut Ozil's bodyguard. Sorry, useless, useless. That's the thing he'll be remembered for when he gets shifted out of Arsenal. And a lot of Arsenal fans have said the same thing too. It's
When you
just
say his bodyguard, you mean like he was brought in to do the dirty work so that Özil could twinkle his toes a bit in
no,
the middle of the.
no,
You
not even
mean,
that. So Ozil got robbed and like was
oh,
about to get stabbed in London town, and
oh,
Kolasinac was with him and fought off all the defend like all these armed robbers and helped him
wow.
and his family escape, and he fought them and beat them up. That's the only thing he'll be remembered for. Nothing on the pitch, but saving Özil in a real life situation. That's it. Thomas
Well,
Tank.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it. No, imagine that as your legacy as a footballer, not being remembered to be a footballer, but somebody who saved somebody else in a situation like that. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a very noble thing to do, but it really tells you
Well,
what sort of quality of footballer he is.
it was Özil too. Like he's not exactly the biggest, most strapping footballer, is he? So he needed protection. Yeah. In fact, you could say that Kolasinac maybe just no, I won't even say that. No, that's forget that.
I know what you're saying, and then I just turned my head, and Xhaka takes 25 years to hit a pass that he couldn't
Yeah,
even hit. Holy
yeah,
moly! If we're expected to finish in the top four,
you forget it. On this display of 10 minutes and 34 seconds so far, yeah, top four just sounds like a dream. And William, the import, just played a beautiful ball, but the winger didn't read it at all. They're not connecting yet, huh?
it's,
They're
it's
not on the same they're not on the same iPad.
they're not.
They're
They don't know what they're
they're
doing. Moyes is actually out coaching Arteta at the moment. He's got his formation straight on, and I think some people really give him a lot of stick. And I thought that when he was the coach at Everton, he was really good. He got Everton in a very good space where they were finishing within that sixth, seventh position, but they were very
yeah, yeah.
dogmatic. And I thought they played a reasonable brand of football, and they matched it with Liverpool. And since he's gone, they have been useless, except maybe this year with Ancelotti there, after watching that game, there's going to be a bit more, poise. Oh man, what does Xhaka do? Pass. Look at this. I'm sorry. Look, this is just pathetic. Look at this.
Yeah,
Oh, there he is. Tank engine.
it's not gripping, but look, the West Ham's parked the bus. They've left Antonio on his own up front to pretend like he's going to chase the ball for a bit, and Arsenal's just going to spray it around until they find the opening,
Yeah, and then they're going to
um,
because
and
they
then West
can't
Ham's
hack
going to
that.
break.
They can't hack
Mm.
it, Phil. They can't hack being able to be creative at the moment. So against the good teams, they're going to be fantastic because they can break on the counter attack. But then when
Yeah,
they're used to attack during this game, this formation, that come on, come on,
that's awful. That is dreadful.
come on, come on.
I'm trying to think of a positive thing to say. Let's say what's something positive I can say about that? That he chose the right foot to kick it with,
Come on.
even if it was the wrong foot. he's trained to do that. He gets paid more than me. Can you believe that? To
I
do
don't,
that.
I don't get it at all.
I'd like to see him play F sharp melodic minor in thirds. That's what I'd like to see.
Or play
And then
scale,
see.
yeah, any scale in thirds. I mean, just I want to get Gemma into watching the soccer more, and she's going to watch this, my wife, and she's going to go, "Why would I even want to watch soccer? It's useless. This is poor. This is really, 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 really poor."
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
problem is with a team like West Ham, you need to find ways to break through. You know, you need to find ways to break through that bus. You don't just pass it around sideways. You've got to have some activeness. They're too still. I mean, what West Ham's done really well already in the first 15 to 20 minutes, sure, they're breaking off the counter attack, but the players, they're energetic, they're moving around. Even when they've got the ball and they're dribbling, they've got this energy about them, and we're just standing still like this, rigid, no movement whatsoever. Look, what's Ceballos doing? Oh,
Okay. So now we've entered a little dark zone where everything's bad.
mhm.
So the challenge for anyone doing that is say something positive, quick. I mean, Arteta, what's he trying to do here? If he's looking at this and thinking, yes, this is working perfectly, what is it about it that he's enjoying? I mean, we're not enjoying it, obviously. It's just a bunch of codswallop. But, is he looking at this and going, yep, they're doing exactly as I asked?
No, definitely not. But the thing that he will say is that,
Look how little movement
yeah,
is.
there's
You're right. When the fullbacks get the ball, absolutely no one is moving. They just stood there like trees.
and that's the problem when Tierney goes, because we don't have that depth in the left back, right? When he goes and they replace him with Sead Kolasinac doesn't have the skill with his foot. So you'll see that he'll butcher the ball, but then of
Ah,
course Leno has no confidence either. So the back line isn't communicating with each other. And what was good about last week's game with Fulham was that when you had Tierney and Gabriel working together, they seemed to form a nice partnership because they weren't there just trying to defend. They were actually trying to be
oh,
positive with their movement. There's nearly a penalty.
oh, you think that's a penalty? Seriously?
Not quite, but I said nearly. I just mean it's very, very rusty on our end. Do you know what I mean? Like, Gabriel's done everything he can. He's put his body physically in there. What's Holding doing at that time? Just literally runs past, doesn't create that sort of pressure within that. And that's where Mikel Arteta will be scratching his head going, that's what we need to work on the training field. So our second squad, when we don't have Tierney in there, who's really positive with the ball, we need to actually try and get that positivity within the thing. What I'm seeing though, even though it's very boring, you can see that they're trying at least to do that sort of formation of the 3-4-3. You can see that formation. You can see that he's trying to bring this triangle, a myriad of players, so that he wants the defenders and the midfield of the other team to come and compress in, so that when they compress, there's space on the side. So
Yeah.
I mean, when West Ham, if they do get tired in this game, that's when they'll score their goals. Could be in the 70th minute, could be in the 80th minute, where if they're in trouble, they need to score a goal or something like that. So that's what I'm seeing with that formation. So the actual vision of it is fine, but so that's a positive. So I'm glad that I can see some structure within what they're doing. It doesn't look like an Unai Emery good evening with nothing, but just like trying to work with star players and them doing one amazing thing to make the game happen. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I see the problem with Spurs this year, is that they're going to have to rely on Son. If Bale comes in, they're going to have to rely on sheer moments of brilliance, whereas you need to have that structure. So even when you play poor, even against the weaker teams, even if you play
Do you mean poorly?
yeah.
Or are we going to talk American? Please.
I'm happy to speak American. I say non-lit, poor, disgraceful, terrible. I don't know, but that's the thing. You need to at least see those base structures within your performances when things aren't going your way or going very poorly. So
I think they're playing real. They're playing real good. Real good.
real good, real good, real good.
It's real good. It's not fake good. or composite good. It's like, real good. I mean, when did that become part of the Australian language and why? I mean, I know we watch a lot of television, but it infuriates me. I just don't know why.
Why? Because nothing Australian's been broadcast on any of the real big TV channels that's dramatic. What's being broadcast in Australian TV at the moment? Australian Story, MasterChef, you know, all these
Mm.
all these reality shows that are still very Americanized because people who are running those shows have directors who are American because Hollywood is apparently the way to go because that's where the money is. So we shall see. But it's just so lethargic, Phil. What are
Is
they?
it possible? Is it possible that Arsenal are just so much slower than this team, West Ham? I've never seen it. You're right. This is like it's like they've just completed pre-season training and they haven't recovered it yet. It's horrendous.
Well, That's why last year we spent money on Tierney. That's why this year we spent money on Gabriel. That's why last year they spent money on
Look
Samuel.
at that. How did he give the ball away there? I, honestly,
Was
I
that
can
Kolasinac? That was Kolasinac, wasn't it?
I think it was Kolasinac. It was a no look pass under no pressure to no one. It was all the nose.
I'm gonna say this right out here. For a professional footballer to play like that, it's an absolute disgrace. He should be stripped of all of his monetary funds for this game to play like that. Sorry. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You're supposed to be a professional at the game, and you are that colorblind that you throw it straight to the opposition. I mean, hang your head in shame. So poor,
Yeah.
poor, very, very poor.
You know when they do the boxes at training, the boxes, you're sort of in a circle or a box, and you have to pass it around without anyone intercepting it. And if the player in the middle intercepts your ball, you have to go in the middle and chase. I reckon he's in the middle a lot, which is kind of funny way of training because it means that you get good at chasing after the ball, but never good at solving the boxes.
Yeah,
It's
that's.
kind of a punishment and reward approach.
But I mean,
Mm.
look, he's a big unit, Seed, and he's got a heart ready to like bulldoze and destroy people. But to have
About
that,
that pass, did you just witness it? Did you see that? That was a 10-yard pass that completely split everyone. In fact, not even the opposition had to move to intercept that ball. The Arsenal player it was meant for just looked at it. Everyone looked for what was that? Like time just stopped.
I'm telling you, if we win this game, it's going to be a miracle. I'm telling you, the way that we're playing at the moment, if we win this game, it's going to be an absolute miracle. I think West
Did,
Ham's done a really good job. They've done their homework.
oh,
Because,
West Ham's trying to play. They're,
yeah,
they're the leads of this situation, but I think everyone needs a double espresso to continue this match. I mean, the sponsors, I'm not a fan of corporate ownership, but the sponsors should step in here and say, commit a terrible foul or something, because this is just, the paint isn't drying. It's just,
I'm grateful because this reminds me of why Arsenal has been so poor. And to
mm,
see it in the second game of the season against crap opposition. Sorry if that comes across mean. West Ham's fine, but if you're talking big three, top six teams, and you're playing like this against opposition, it's just very, 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 very poor. And
okay.
if you want to challenge and be a marquee club, and people want to come to your club, and they're watching this game and how you play, why would anybody want to come to us? Why would you? Because there's no.
Okay, okay, Maddie, I got to stop you there because I'm doing it too. Do you recognize how we've reached peak Australian right now?
Right.
we are, we've sat down to enjoy this spectacle, and what we're enjoying doing is slagging the hell out of it. But it kind of deserves it. Look at this. Oh, too slow.
I know
I
it's too.
mean, good defending.
But I must say though, what was great about this play? Have a look who was involved. Lacazette, boom, straight away. He's got the ball straight out, one pass straight in, and Saka's nearly got the goal. You know, that's what you need.
Excellent defending. Excellent defending from the West Ham right back. He had to get that right, didn't he? And he managed it beautifully. Yeah.
Saka's,
Who's this player? Who's that player? He looks new.
which one?
The guy that just got tackled in the box.
Oh, he's Saka. That's he's a new 19-year-old. He just got a big contract. He's a huge prospect for English football. He was in the top echelon with like Mason Greenwood. One to keep
Right.
an eye out on. He's a fabulous player. He can play in all positions on the field. So for us last year, he worked as a wing back. He worked as a forward on the left-hand side, also on the right-hand side, also worked on the right-hand wing back spot. I mean, he's a jack of all trades. Excellent. Look at Lacazette.
Mason Greenwood.
Hmm?
You're comparing him to Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood missed. Sorry, Mason Greenwood was the victim of fantastic off-putting defending because no one actually came to challenge him. So he had a free header on the far post off the best cross Man United managed all season, and he missed it. And he drives a Ferrari, and my car's in the workshop because it doesn't work. Life is just not fair.
No, I know. But that's why I love Saka, because he's worked so hard. And last year was an absolute breakthrough season. Just watch all of his highlights if you have time to on YouTube. It's totally worth it. He's one for the future, and he's got excellent skills. He can pull the ball too, which is great. But he's not ashamed to actually do the big English typical pass that I love. So that's one to watch out. But I mean, who
His
cares?
movement off the ball looks good.
Yeah, he's active. Look at it. See, active.
And strong. Nice pass. Oh, here we go. Yeah, nice.
Okay,
Very
you know what
nice.
I mean? So this is what I get frustrated with Arsenal, because why do they have to be so slow in the midfield, right? And they want to start all of their passages of play for the midfield. Why not just like realize that maybe what we need to do in our team is to make two brick walls. So you have the four in the middle, which are very solid. Just try and not get the ball past that that midfield area. Just keep it in that front third. Keep as active as you can. And then if you don't do that, then if the ball goes to the back four, that's another brick wall. You know what I mean? I get it. It can be a bit boring, but we don't have
Did you
the
see
players.
this goal?
Hmm?
Did you see this goal?
Yeah,
Did you see this goal? So that is a beautiful move. That is what they've been trying to do. That's why Arteta's happy. I mean, I see what you're saying about the defensive unit and playing it like basketball, half court press sort of thing, but that's what they've been trying to do. That's what makes Arteta happy. They want to score the perfect goal. They're still the Arsenal of old.
yeah.
That was the perfect goal. That was a coordinated movement through ball, and that cross. See how Lacazette moved to the hole? You rarely see that in English football anymore.
Yeah.
This ball through, beautifully timed. And where does he move? He moves to the hole, so it's a deep cross.
Yeah.
And I reckon you don't see bullet headers. You know, you often see headers go down
Mhm.
or across. Here he bullets it into the top. I love those.
But also, I think with that passage of play, what Arsenal do really well compared to most other teams on the planet, except for maybe Barcelona or Juventus, Inter or a Real, is that quality teams use one pass touches, so it's all one pass. It's all very fluid. So everything's just very intuitive. Just go for it. Keep the momentum going forward, which is extremely important. And I think that
Like
sometimes
a kind of a rhythm.
I think that can be very missed, and I think when Arsenal were on fire, when you see balls that come out from the defence all the way through to the forward line, and then they kick their goals and they start from these passages of play, generally it's all one-touch football. It's really, really super. So that's what we mean by positive energy. We don't want them to just stop the ball in the middle of the field, take 20 seconds to try and kick a pass sideways. You need to sometimes do that if you're under pressure to alleviate and stop the tempo of the game. But if you want to create the tempo, you can't afford to do that. You need to be very fluid with the way that you play your football. And that goal was perfect because the way that everybody pressed up from the midfield, the passing, as you said, as you explained very clearly, the cross, it was extremely fluid, but it was very positive. They were thinking of a plan. How do we actually get that ball into the back of the net? And sometimes I feel in the modern game that's forgotten, and that's why we get these terrible stalemates, because zoning apparently is the way to go. It's not, in my mind.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it's a bit Mourinho Chelsea, isn't it? Like we said last week, it's it's very slow and laborious, and a little bit like old-fashioned Italian football, catenaccio. So just keep the ball. But when they move, because that was a lightning fast move,
Mm.
the other team had no time to think when the move finally happened. So maybe that's the positive we can draw out of Arteta. He's going to go really slow and then bang. But it just doesn't make for entertaining viewing. Do you think that's a good way of playing cup football? Is that why that he's been successful in cups?
But even in the cup games, he never had that issue because he didn't have to dictate the play. I mean, look at the teams that he played for that cup when he came in. The quarterfinal was against Sheffield United at Sheffield United. They took the pressure, they won the game. Then he played,
Uh,
and then he played Man City, took the pressure on the counter attack, boom. Against Chelsea, same thing, took the pressure, boom. You know what I mean? Very, very intuitive counter attacking football. So you're always positive. Against Liverpool, did the same thing, played a 3-5-2 formation and did it and smashed it. But this year, the test for Arsenal isn't against the top teams because I think we've got every chance of beating them or at least drawing games with them. I don't see us losing many because of our front three or our three and our two wingers. I don't see any problems with that. It's going to be against these teams that are going to park the bus against us. And if we don't trade or get a transfer with a creative midfielder or a defensive
yeah.
like Partey who can actually create and get and attract attention from their players so that you're bringing that back line more forward, getting a higher press instead of sitting back, then we're in trouble, I think. If we don't.
Okay. Honestly speaking, if that's the case,
Mhm.
okay. So they've brought in Willian. Look at him play that ball out to the yeah. So that was an Özil type pass from
Mm,
Willian. But you're talking about a creative player.
mm,
Why has Özil lost it? Has Özil lost it? He's a very creative player. He can see passes. When
mm,
you look at his stats on how many assists he's by the way, I hate the word assists because it takes out the whole organic nature of what
mm,
everyone else in the pitch is doing and turns it into a sort of a basketball
mhm.
statistic. But nevertheless, he created a lot. Very creative and imaginative player. Why isn't he featuring at all? Is he going to be transferred?
I think they're trying to, but I don't think he wants to move because his wages are so high. To be honest with you, I think Özil is very irrelevant with this style of football that Arteta, Pep Guardiola, Mourinho plays. He needs a Wenger style of coach who's going to be very positive, who's going to like attack at all costs, even if it sacrifices in defence, because he's that sort of player that links everybody. Doesn't mean he can defend well, but that's not his job as a number 10. He's a very attacking number 10. And I feel at the moment in the English league, because teams have worked out how to park the bus, a player like him doesn't necessarily work because he doesn't have that sort of counter-attacking, breaking speed pace with the way that he plays. He's a drifter. I'd love to call him a drifter. He drifts around, connects everybody to everything. But when a drifter connects things, doesn't mean he's good at defending because then you have to run back really quickly, defend,
Oh yeah,
you
I
know.
just hate it. It's like they want machines. And the thing about creative players is they need the confidence of the coach.
Mm,
Because when you're a creative player, it means you try stuff
mm,
that often doesn't work.
yeah.
And if the coach then pulls you and says da da da, the coach needs to tell such a player, look, just keep trying to do what you're doing, and it won't work all the time. But we need that because the others are all professionals. Although looking at this Arsenal side, I don't know if you can really say that, but we need someone to break the code, like a Neymar, like a Messi, you know,
But I'm
Ronaldinho.
saying that the two targets that they've been linked to, okay, who can do that in the Arsenal team? Aubameyang can do that in the Arsenal team. He's a striker, but look at that pass that he just sent to Lacazette for that goal. He can actually do it on the wing and score goals. So he can
True.
assist. Let's just say we use the word assist. He's able to pass it. He can break off the line. And he's one of the few footballers that I know in our times who has a perfect body and can still maintain his pace at the age of 31, which is why I find seeing Ozil out of the game so sad, because your creative midfielders, you want them to last for a long time. But if you've got creative midfielders who then are running all the time and they lose their pace, it really ends their career, because the pace and the way that they run can often get in the way of how skillful they are. You know what I mean? I think Ozil is a phenomenally skilled player, but sometimes with pace, and this is why I have my issues with Bellerin. Why was he such a great right back at the beginning of his career? He couldn't pass a ball, or he couldn't actually send something into the box, well. But what he could do was break the line. So he was extraordinarily quick. After his injury now, you can see that his pace has dropped, but his skills have never improved, and his pace hid that skill. Do you know what I mean? So I think with a lot of these...
You mean his pace hid that lack of skill? Sorry, that's...
Yeah, that hid that lack of skill that's there. And so that's what I feel with a lot of these creative midfielders now. They're creative because they can run really quickly, and then they get the space and they just need to pass the ball without thinking. They don't have to do magical passes. But that's where Ozil came in. That's why I loved him, because when he didn't have to be quick, but he has extraordinary skill. So he can do whatever he wants. He could literally kick the ball backwards over his head to somebody, and he won't lose that X factor. But it just this sort of football because it's too quick. But what I'm saying is that if we get a Hussein Orr in the team, he's going to be great for 9 or 10 years. Let's be honest. If he comes to this team, he'll be great for 9 or 10 years. But once his pace drops, I just don't see him lasting. Whereas Ozil, if he ends up at a club and they play his style of footy, he could be there until he's 36, 37, because he's never had that speed. So what has he had to do? He's had to make up for everything else. Great body movement, great creativity, great foot skill, great control of the ball. I think this is a huge issue that soccer players will face. Another perfect example. Let's compare somebody. Tony Adams and then Rio Ferdinand. Ferdinand, phenomenal footballer, absolutely great defender. But when he lost speed, it ended his career very quickly because he just wasn't as efficient at the ball.
Hang on, did you just say that Ferdinand's career ended quickly because of his lack of pace?
Well, people have, and I've...
Oh, hang on, what? He kept playing at the highest level and winning titles into his mid-30s.
Yeah, but if he had something like what Adams did in his period of time, where he didn't have to rely on his speed as much, he was just very fortunate to be a very quick defender. Potentially, he could have bullied his way until he was 40. You know what I mean? Because the speed sort of hid things a little bit. And I don't know, people might disagree, but I've heard a few pundits say that. And I think, yeah, maybe, because I would have loved to have seen Ferdinand last a little bit longer. He's such a presence in that team. He was such, a bully. You can hear it in his commentating. He's one of my most favourite pundits to listen to when I hear him commentate, because he just doesn't take any crap, And it's really nice to hear that. But again, I think it was that pace. Whereas Adams, how old was he when he retired? He was an old boy, wasn't he? Was he like 38 or something like that? 38, 39?
Yeah, but you could argue that he might have retired earlier. Well, actually, you probably couldn't argue that. He's a bloody great player.
Yeah, but what was so great about him was he wasn't naturally blessed with pace, but he was so good.
No. I saw him play live.
Yeah.
I saw that Arsenal team play live. I saw him mow down a defender, and you look at him, and on TV, the guy did not look fast. But maybe over 2 or 3 yards, he was pretty quick. Maybe his biggest strength was he could read the game and organise and all those sort of football things. But if he had to run 30 metres to intercept someone and absolutely take them out, it was frightening watching him. It was like watching a train wreck. I really felt sorry for the defender, and you knew it was going to happen long before it did. He was, I think he did have what you call pace. Maybe he didn't have the sharpness. I didn't see Rio Ferdinand make too many tackles like that in his time.
No, not at all. But the game was a little bit different. The way that they train, the way that statistics get into the game, sometimes it gets in the way of actually really excellent footballers, that naturally should play their game the way that they should because that's the way that they're built. You know, they're trying to just tease these little 1%ers all the time. And sometimes in the game of football, you don't need that. You just need the natural ability of the footballer to shine. You know, and that's maybe what we talk about in this modern game, that it's too tactical, it's too predictable. What's this game been? What's happened in the last 5 minutes? All I've been seeing is, you know, what I call the sideway pass. We practice this on the field every single week. Gosh, we're really good at being creative and passing side to side, backwards.
Yes, it's like they're playing tiki-taka, but there's no tack. It's just tiki. It's all tiki and no tack.
No, but
There's no they don't, you know, one of the things about that Barcelona tiki-taka is that, and I remember seeing this for the first time and I couldn't believe it, and you could see the opposition couldn't believe it, is that a player's calling for the ball, even though he has two men marking him, but they still play him the ball, because as soon as they play him the ball, he just plays it back. And in that way, he creates, you know, space, because the two defenders, I think he's going to try and do something with the ball. They did this so much that defenders didn't know which way they were facing. But Arsenal, in today's match, they're just playing tiki with no taka, because West Ham are letting them have the ball up there. And Arsenal think that they're talented by keeping it. But if someone's letting you have something, you're not that talented by keeping it, are you?
No. But, you know, the thing is, I think this year where we're different, this is going to be my positive spin, just watching, you know, because I love being able to keep an eye on the footy. What I'm really enjoyed is that our signing, Gabriel, has been a fantastic signing, because he's a big presence, so the forwards can't get in front of him. So even if we look a little bit suspect, the thing that I love to see is that we're not going to get scored as easily because they have to get past him. And that's what we haven't had in our defence since 2012, maybe.
Ooh.
I know.
Arsenal just put together a move. Sorry, it's
I saw it. It was really, really good. But this is the thing, you know. I find with Arsenal, they've always been 2 to 3 players short. You can tell with Arteta's team that as soon as he gets, if he can get Saka, look at him. He's fantastic. But get Hossim Awar, Thomas Partey, I tell you, our conversations will be completely different. And people go, oh, that's only 2 players. They're not even proven in the EPL. Anything to bolster our midfield, as you can see now, will fix a lot of stuff, you know, because it will get the tiki with the taka. You know,
This is your theory. And okay, it's good to have that theory, and it's your team, so respect. But I still go back to my point. I wonder if Arteta's watching this game and loving it, because he was always, as a player, you know, he kind of played like all of these players. You often see the inner coach appear in the players that he picks. And, you know, I think he loved doing this. His happiest days on the football field were when he made 9 out of 10 of his passes, and he didn't even disturb the grass as the ball went by.
Which Arteta, though? Because when I watched him at Arsenal, I didn't like him at Arsenal. When I watched him at Everton, oh man, that guy was just bombing goals left, right, and centre from long way out. You know, he was a real man's captain when I saw him at Everton. Go watch his Everton highlights. He was just so ruthless. Like
that brings a question. So which Arteta are we seeing as manager? And I think we're seeing the Arsenal Arteta. I mean, after all, he's come back to home. Maybe when he was bombing in those goals for Everton, it's because no one else, he wasn't surrounded by a lot of talent. And because they did all the running in the graft, so he was allowed to take off his suit and go for a bit of a swim occasionally. But now he's firmly stuck at the minibar. He can't decide what to eat, but he's definitely having grass for lunch. Not that grass.
I do honestly think, though.
This is a kale sandwich of a performance. That's what it is. It's kale, organic, single origin eggs.
But you watch, in the next 3 minutes, we've had all this possession and we haven't kicked a goal. You watch what's going to happen. This is my prediction. I haven't watched the game at all. So if it comes true, you cannot say this. They're going to break on the counter attack and they're going to kick a goal. It's just
Who's
so
that?
typical
Who's that?
Arsenal from 2010 to 2020. 65% possession. Oh, we're special. 285 passes. Oh, 96% completion rate. And will be scored against. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, so you mean West Ham's going to score? I was a little bit unsure. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Doubts. We're not playing well. I can see it. I can see this game. I've watched.
Wait, Zach is on the ball. Zach is on the ball. We should start timing him. We should need a stopwatch. I reckon that was about 5 seconds too long, even if it was only 2 seconds.
But this is why we need. I'm telling you, this is why we need those two players, or at least one of those players. Because what will happen then is, if that's the case, and he can clear the space, and he's in the middle of something, what Xhaka does well for Switzerland is that they use him to absolutely just go for long goals. You know, that's why he's been successful with the Swiss national team. He knows how to kick a long ball. Just use him like that. You know, don't make him think of all this creativeness in the midfield. That's not his job.
Look, Arsenal just tried to play a long pass.
Yeah.
I almost dropped my sandwich, even though I don't have one. That was incredible. They should do more of that.
Exactly.
I think they should actually watch the Championship League, not the Championship League. They should all go and watch Leeds and think, we're better athletes with more skills than all of those blokes.
Yeah.
We could maybe win matches. Arteta, I don't like Arteta. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. That's fine.
2 games in, if I had to choose who to follow.
Look at this. Nice. Look. It's actually a move. That's all you need to do. It's not, if somebody was there, that's a shot on goal. You know what I mean? But one-touch football, it's so effective with this team. They're really good at it, you know? All of the best highlights of goals last year was Arsenal one-touch football. It's really good. Look, now they're coming on the counter. Look at this. Look, they're on the counter. Look. Told you. Absolutely told you. I can read this game like a book. What a waste of Lacazette's goal. What an absolute waste of Lacazette's goal. Absolutely bloody pathetic. That is just so poor. I told you, look, bang, counter-attack, gone.
Actually, I think it was excellent play from West Ham as well. Look at the way the Arsenal players contract. They do all the right things. They wait before they go to the ball. But then Antonio, they just can't deal with him. His presence.
Because, look, what's Kolasinac doing? Sorry, Kolasinac is a useless footballer. Look at him. What's he doing? Oh, I'll look useful. I'll just pretend that I dived. What's he doing? What pressure is he doing there? You know, what pressure is he putting on that cross? There's too much space. Useless football.
By the way, the defender who was trying to mark Antonio in that move, as West Ham were building their counter-attack, you'll see him point to other players to tell them what they should be doing. I love that. I love it when that happens, because when you play, I've played quite a lot of football, and it's time and time again, just at the point when some idiot on your team is trying to tell you you should have done this or done that, they're so busy concentrating on that they forget where the ball is, and they stuff up. And you can't help it. A bit of Schadenfreude, Schadentiemen. Is there a German word for Schadenteammaten? There must be. Schadentiemäten. I'm making it up.
Scheisenhauser? Is that all right? I'm happy to say that. Scheisenhauser football. That's what it is.
Well, I believe that word already exists, but you can say you made it up.
I'm telling you now, Moyes should be really proud of that first half. Absolutely outcoached Arteta. Absolutely made Arsenal look like a championship team. Really, they look like a championship team with deer in the headlights. And to be honest, they played the most attacking football. And I guarantee you now they're going to come out in the second half and they're going to try and boss it, because they've got all of this momentum when the game should have actually been killed off. There were 2 pieces of play in the first 30 minutes that should have been goals in that from Arsenal, and that would have killed that game. Because now we're going to fight.
Matty, there's one thing I don't agree with you. They don't look like a championship team, because a championship team would have tried to do more things. They would have gone, yeah, I'm a deer in the headlights. I better try and make something happen. These guys, uh, yeah.
Awful,
And
awful.
West Ham have played it beautifully. You're right. I think you're right. The West Ham coaches absolutely outplayed poor old Arteta there.
Well, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be so now looking at their formation, they're playing a 4-2-3-1. What are you going to do? What are all the bottom teams going to do against Arsenal? They're going to have two formations now against us, which is really bad because we can't even cope with a 3-5-2 with most lower teams in the Premier League. So now they're going to have two setups that they're going to play against us: 4-2-3-1 and a 3-5-2. Park the bus, do what you need to, break them on the counter attack, and let's see if we can actually outlast 90 minutes with them. And because we have it,
By the way, sorry to interrupt you, but the Optus Sport logo just came up, and underneath it were the words "the world's best football." I think. Do you want your money back? and
I do.
should we fast forward through the mid, the halftime break? I don't need oranges, do you?
Yeah, I don't need to. Yeah, let's fast forward it. Let's go.
It's just I didn't mean to cut off your sentence, but it was getting awfully long, Maddie.
I always go very long, so
That was that must have been a world record. I mean,
yeah.
it's like you're playing a Bach bassoon line. There's nowhere for a breath, and
Yep, I fast forwarded, so it's all good. We don't need to watch this ad break thing. But I mean, yeah, I can go nearly a whole page now playing a Bach cello suite prelude without a breath, so I can speak for a very, very long time. It's just poor football. I mean, if we get a win out of this, I'm going to be really happy. But it's not going to be a game that I remember. It's going to be a game that proves one point that I've been mentioning the whole time. We need to get two world-class midfielders.
You have said that. Yes, you have said that. It's becoming your favorite song, I believe. And I'm up to 45, 54. Are you up to there?
Yep. Yep.
What second are you on?
I'm not on. Oh, actually, I'm not up there. I'm at an hour and 7 minutes. That's what I am. I skipped all the way through.
Are you talking about the game clock?
Yes, I'm talking about the game clock.
No, an hour and seven.
No, sorry. Game clock's just come up, and it's now 45 and 17.
Okay, so you press play.
Yeah.
And then when you get to 54 seconds, tell me.
Yeah.
I guess that's how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love it.
So now, Maddie, tell me what, apart from dishing a whole lot of dirt on your team, which, is fair enough. You've got every right to do. I mean, for example, it's like criticizing one's own playing. I think that it's more fun than anything. So it's your team, you're criticizing them, your hopes are tied up with the way they play. What do you wish would happen? And you can't have those two midfielders you want for Christmas.
I'm there now. Go for it.
Oh, okay. So what do you think you're going to see different from Arsenal this half?
This half, right? My thoughts are we're going to struggle, but it's all to do with the substitutions. So what do you bring off the bench to be able to change things? So if they bring on, let's say, Nketiah, for instance, because I feel like he's going to come on, I feel like they're going to take somebody off like Aubameyang because they want to save him for the cup. That's just my thoughts will happen. If they bring Nketiah on, then you might get a 4-4-2 setup because then you'll have Lacazette and him at the top. And what?
Look, he's in behind. He's in behind. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that was positive.
How good Saka is so good, and Aubameyang. There he is. Saka and all them. They're all running through. Look there. Yeah, look. There you go. It's what you want. Look at him. He's got a lethal left boot. Very good.
This is well standard. Beautiful play all around, I would say. Nice through ball, nice cross, good running, great defending. Just that's the kind of football we want to see more of.
But I mean, even with the Fulham game, you can notice how big of a difference Kieran Tierney makes to this team. He's the Robertson of Liverpool in Arsenal, and he
Look
creates
at the keeper.
plays.
The keeper just came to the halfway line. The Arsenal keeper just came to the halfway line. I don't think I've seen that in years.
He likes to play with a bit of risk, you know. He's a good keeper, but I really do miss Martinez, and I can already see in this game that not having Emi Martinez, there's not that security in the back line that I really like. So I think Arteta over the next 10 weeks, after he's finished his trades, really needs to bring in William Saliba, who's from the French league. Put him with Gabriel. They're very young, but bed them in because they're two tall bodies in that back line. And also Saliba's not afraid to come out and play. Really, really play. So you add that with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's not in this team, by the way. Why isn't he in this team? I'm telling you, Arteta's trying a different team because he wants a strong team against Leicester. He's going to give the Carabao Cup a real crack. He wants to win a trophy. He really does. And people will go, whoa, what's he doing? Why has he changed up the team? There's a reason why. Because for him, this is a game that we should automatically have penciled in as a win. So that's why I think we're going to struggle. And I think we're going to find this half very hard to play well. And if we get the 3 points here, one thing that I've learned from Arsenal this year that's very different already to last year, they know how to grind out a game. If they can do that, I'll be happy. But I'm telling you, this is not a breath of fresh football, is it? This is a toast of stale, rotten, mouldy football. That's what I call it.
At least, but rotten, mouldy bread and a fart in an elevator, at least it's got humorous value. This isn't humorous. This has...
Look at Kolasinac.
It's like watching a maths exam unfold. I'd rather watch someone take a maths exam.
Yeah.
I'd actually rather watch them sit there with their pen and paper and scratch their head than watch this. Sometimes. But there are flashes. And so for West Ham, I think that they will continue as they've been doing. I think that he'd be the happier of two coaches at halftime, as they say, because with sort of little effort, they've created stuff, and they've played very well without the ball. Coaches love that these days.
Well, you know what's good is that with West Ham, I actually see that they've got a bit of backbone. So all their trades that they've done, and all the players that they've got in, they had a poor game because it was their first game of the season, last week. But they got a bit of backbone.
Hey, someone dribbled with the ball and beat a player.
Yeah.
Dear diary.
I know.
English Premier League, dribbling, still alive.
This is just...
Nice move.
This is just terrible by Arsenal. I would be much happier being a West Ham fan. This is okay, let's see what Thomas the Tank Engine does. There he goes. Here he goes. Look at him. Look at that creativity, Thomas the Tank Engine. Oh, tell them where to kick the ball. Tell your best player where to kick the ball. Fans. Yeah. Look at what that is just so poor. Holy moly. What is he doing?
He's got the ball again.
He has got to be single-handedly the EPL's worst left back I have seen. Sead Kolasinac. I am putting it out there. He is the worst left back in the EPL. Absolutely no backbone. So poor with the ball. And
nice cross. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice cross.
Yeah.
Not from Kolasinac.
No. Exactly. Oh my God. Watching Xhaka play, seriously, watching those two play is worse than watching paint dry. You know why? Because when paint dries and it's done properly, which is why you paint in the first place if you're doing a house renovation, actually serves a purpose. It serves a purpose. What does it do? It makes your house look better and more livable. Those two, what do they do to Arsenal fans? They raise our blood pressure. They make us feel sick. They help us get into this depressive state where we're going to not win anything. And they get paid way too much money to be
Matty, Matty, you're missing a crucial point here. Let's look at what else they do for your team. They make your team of average players with a captain who no one knows why he decided to sign on, Aubameyang. They make all of those really average players look like they could do something interesting, when in actual fact they're not going to.
No.
I mean, I hate to put a wet tea bag all over this cup of coffee, but it's just there's no caffeine in these people.
Look at this. West Ham look much better. West Ham look much, much, much better. That should have been a goal. I'm telling you, that should have been a goal.
That was good defending from your mate, from Gabriel, the new signing. He put Antonio off.
He's a big.
Look at this.
He's a big.
Look at this. He throws himself at it. Yes, and it puts off Antonio, who probably should have scored. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent defending.
Fantastic defending. And he's touched the ball.
And good keeping too, by the way. He had to deal with a deflection there. That was excellent.
I tell you what, Phil, with this team, I guarantee you, when they play Saliba and they play Gabriel and Tierney's in the team, right? When those three come into the team with Leno and they get one more midfielder, it'll be a completely different brand of footy. Absolutely. I have no doubts. And it's because even when you saw the MK Dons game with Saliba in the backline, he just wanted to challenge the defensive midfield, defenders midfield. And he was just running out with the ball. So you'll see a huge difference once they get rid of some of these has-beens that have been in the team. And what this does, it really puts Danny Ceballos in a lot of pain, because Ceballos is actually quite a creative midfielder, but he can't do anything because he can't trust anybody on his left-hand side. He can't trust Kolasinac to do the right thing. He can't trust anybody. Willian moving, finally. Oh.
He's played his way into the game. Nice ball.
But that's why Ceballos is so important to the team, and people bag him. But he can't do anything because the people who are behind him are useless. But when Ceballos plays well, when Tierney's behind him, he decides to maybe think a little bit more creative, So you'll see much more of that sort of play when you have three young defenders taking the game on, because they're not scared. It's the beauty of young players. We'll have a defensive, our back line, once Kolasinac goes, we'll have the back line of, and David Luiz, there'll be an average age of about 23. Back line. That's going to be very exciting. Scary, but very exciting. Lack of experience, but they're going to take the game on. So I'm quite excited. Oh, okay, let's see what Thomas the Tank. What is he doing? Why did he pass to a player? Oh my God.
That's pretty bad.
Oh my. But didn't I say to you at the beginning of the game, when I said Tierney was out, we're in trouble?
Yeah. Well, at least they're trying stuff, You won't see many tricks and flicks from this team. By the way, one thing notable about this game is very few corner kicks and very few throw-ins. This is, again, I guess it's just a symptom of the fact West Ham are not really going to pressure them at all in this part of the pitch. No. There we go. There's the throw-in, of course.
Commentators, that's what it is. But it's true. Who's he going to throw it to? Thomas the Tank.
By the way, how many decisions has the referee had to make in this game so far? No yellow cards. Has anyone even left the ground to make a tackle apart from that brilliant defensive effort?
3 decisions I've seen so far in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of like a training match. Yeah, but Arsenal still, I think there is hope for you, mate, because occasionally they do move like Quicksilver through the gears.
Yeah.
They don't go through the gears, they skip the gears and they just go bang. And maybe that's bang, a bang, yeah,
I agree. One thing though, I am going to say this: when the back line changes, it's not if, it's when. Play will be a lot the play will be a lot better. I tell you, because even in the Fulham game, as tactical as that was, that still had a lot more flow, and that was one person out of that back line with Tierney. You know, I was saying to you, he's a quality footballer.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's going to make a huge difference. You put two people in there, then you add David Luiz, who just doesn't care about anything. Oh man, it's going to be wild. You know, well, it's going to be a lot more flowing, a lot more Brazilian, I think, as well. Because now you've
So you're hopeful. You're hopeful about having David Luiz in the team. You seem to think that's a good thing. A lot of pundits would say that David Luiz is kind of finished as a footballer or something.
better than this.
Well, that's not exactly that difficult, is it?
It's better than this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is sad for me.
Look at this, but West Ham are now playing a bit more keep ball. They're trying to create things. They're trying to dominate the game. Very interesting. Maybe they really are tired from what we don't know.
They need
It's
to
a
change
mystery.
tactics. They need to go 4-4-2. I feel during this, and I think it will happen because I think Aubameyang's going to come off. I really do think he's going to come off the ground. So
to save himself for Leicester.
Yeah. They need to do well in that comp. Because what's Arteta got fire in his belly? He's won the FA Cup. He wanted to win it as a manager, and he's won it as a captain with Arsenal. What would be his next main target? To beat Pep at his own game. And Pep's own game is winning that Carabao Cup. How many have they won like in a row now? Or how many have they won in his tenure? 4 or 5? He'll want to crush Pep at his own game. And he wants Arsenal to play at Wembley. Because the thing with Wembley is Wembley's a bigger pitch, and Arsenal can't play this rubbish style of football on a bigger pitch. It's much more open. You've got no choice. That's why they play well there. It's like they're home away from home. It should be their home ground. I'm telling you now, they should sell the Emirates to Chelsea, and they should just move to Wembley.
All right.
That's my thoughts. They should sell this because Chelsea should sell Stamford Bridge for £1 again, like in the old days, turn it into a greyhound racing track, and then just play. They should just play at Wembley the whole time. Because
wait a second. I interrupt you because someone tried to dribble and there was a tackle. And then someone else tried to dribble and there was another tackle. It was very exciting. Something happened in this game. And then West Ham almost created something. Yeah.
They should have kicked a goal.
Well, yeah. I don't know, should have, but they, well, that's a bit of a swing and a miss. I can also do those all day of the week.
Me too. So
I can drive a Ferrari and do that. I mean, who can't? This guy, apparently.
West Ham in this half has acted like a bigger team than Arsenal. They've got more now. Oh, now they're breaking on the counter-attack. Excellent. Brazilian. Good pass. Look at that release. That's not bad, hey.
But Lacazette, interesting idea.
Because he saw a bad one.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But that's the thing. When we play against the good teams, why do we look good? Because we can do that, you know. But everything starts from that midfield place when you're building up, you know. So you need an excellent CDM. You need a couple of excellent centre backs. You need excellent wing backs, and to have two players like Ainsley Maitland-Niles out of the team and Tierney, it really throws the defensive structure out of whack, and that's why you get this terrible, monotonous, no movement, sterile.
Oh, come on, it's not that bad. You sound like you need a cup of coffee now. You need go and have
fine, but I mean, I haven't.
Go and have an almond croissant. Go and put on some different glasses and come back and watch this game and explain to us how magnificent it is that these strapping young men are doing their very best to win for their colours, which they will exchange for any other colours at all if more money comes along. I mean, that's the beauty of the modern game, isn't it? To kiss the badge the same way you kiss a cheap hooker, and then you kiss the next one the same. These people are not playing with the pride of the shirt or the area, are they? They're just professionals doing their job.
it's not good, is it? It's very, very poor. And I think that when I saw the game with Everton and West Brom, and you watched the Leeds game yesterday, there was so much more fire in the belly of those teams.
Oh, please don't compare the two matches. Uh, yeah, I mean, wow. Just please don't. Totally different intention. And well, one of the few things about this Arsenal performance is clearly they're not quite gelling yet,
No,
but they look like they could keep playing this football. They could play another match like this tomorrow, um, and get away with it probably.
I
They're
think.
limiting they're limiting the opposition's chances.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
keeping the ball forever.
yeah,
Look at them. They're walking.
yeah. But you know,
So they won't get injured. They won't get injured. So in a long season, when you're in lots of cups and different competitions, there is a kind of logic to not trying that hard, I suppose.
Pepe's coming on. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, they're going to change their structure. It's going to go 4-4-2 for sure. They're
Yeah.
going to try and change everything up. And then if Nketiah comes in, my tactical nous will be proven correct. It will
Your
be
tactical
proven
nous.
correct.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. I love Pepe because what I love about him is that he's got this incredible skill. He tries to dribble, he tries to break the line, and he tries to be creative. I love it. And I think everybody thinks we paid way too much for him. I don't think we should have paid more to get players. We need to have this mentality where we need to get players who want to create, who want to run, who want to actually care.
Agreed. Hey, by the way, if I was Arteta, I would not have taken Willian off. I would
No,
have taken Lacazette off. I don't understand that move. If you've got a player that can dribble on the pitch now and run at defenders,
yeah.
you want Willian there to be in the right place to use his experience. And I would never take Aubameyang off because he's always dangerous. And when he gets the ball, and he hasn't had the ball too much, he always makes the right decisions.
Yeah, well, that pass to Lacazette for the header, correct decision. Didn't go for goal.
Yeah.
That was the best play. Oh, I just want Kolasinac out of the team. I really do. And I think, to be honest, I'm very critical of Xhaka, but I do think if he is able to be given the space and not have to think about creating plays from the middle of the ground, that can just run on and just kick long balls and just do stuff like that, I think he'll be really, really effective. And he'll be one of those players that I would go, if there's a kick just outside of the box, he's the first person I'm going to send it to. If it's like 25, 30 yards out, bang, left foot, back of the net. You know, we've got Aubameyang who's fantastic at that, but all fantastic teams, whether they've been successful this year or yesteryear, you have to have a midfield that can kick a long goal, a midfielder that can kick a long goal. It's really, really crucial because then it gives you the variety of scoring options. And in the last 10 to 12 years, Arsenal, why haven't they been successful? Their midfielders don't kick enough goals. And it's a very, very proven fact that we
Is it?
much.
Hang on a minute. Barcelona Football Club. How many times do you see their players take a ping from far? I can count it on one foot. It's not often.
No,
Mind you, they have a little messy about them, don't they? So
it's very different.
but,
But that's the beauty.
Arsenal have always been shy of shooting from distance. You know, in Wenger's time, and especially early on, they were often accused of trying to walk it in. The English commentators were look, they hit the bar. West Ham hit the bar.
I know,
Wow.
that's why I'm there. I told you they'd come out strong.
Good header. Then the keeper climbed all over his own player, AFL style, but no mark was awarded. He just lost the ball instead of punching it.
Leno.
Young, he's still learning.
Yeah.
But
This is great. This is great soccer. Great footy. Look at that. That's a beautiful header. Shame it wasn't a goal. Shame it wasn't a goal. Leno is a lucky man.
Yeah. Excellent play. Love it. Look at the keeper here. Oh, look, Ma.
and they think that that's our number one goalkeeper. My goodness. Why would you sell Emi Martinez? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It's easy to criticise because as the keeper, you see the ball in the air, you make the decision to go for it, your eyes are on the ball, but you have to have an awareness that there's a defender in front of you.
Hmm.
Now, you know that you're going to fall over that defender,
Hmm.
so you should not try and catch the ball. I mean, that seems obvious to me sitting here in my comfortable armchair on a Sunday morning.
Oh,
Why
go
doesn't it
Pepe.
seem obvious to someone in the heated battle? I don't get it.
Yeah, look at Pepe. Pepe, come on, Pepe. Look at him. See, like, look, he tried something. Maybe it didn't work, but he's got great
That
skill.
was shithouse touch, my friend. Yeah. But he was about to do that defender for pace, wasn't he?
Yeah,
And
straight
he's
away.
clearly been told by Arteta, if you get the ball out there, just do something.
Yeah. I don't think Arteta wants this extraordinarily boring style of football, in my opinion. Not in the midfield. He might want it from his defence because he wants everything to come from the back. But I think he would be very, very mortified that the midfield has done absolutely nothing in this game because I can't see out of all the games that we've won and how we've won the cups, I can't see how he would want a midfield that's inactive and has no presence about it. And in
Well,
those,
look at the moment. The midfield have four West Ham players forming a box around them.
yeah,
So that's the I guess that's the West Ham tactical approach, is to stop them playing the ball through the middle.
yeah,
Which, in fairness, even if they did have the space, those players may not be able to do anything. But that's West Ham's style:
yeah.
stifle the midfield so that Arsenal's forced to play long balls.
Yeah. But I mean, Arsenal can play it. Well, this tactic works perfectly today because our long ball specialist on left back, here, he's not playing. Kolasinac's not going to be able to throw a long ball. Look at the way he kicks the ball. Thomas would do a better job because he'd have momentum with the speed that he goes with his choo-choo train. He'd have more luck getting pace and direction on the ball, even though it's stuck
Look
on
at
the
this.
back.
Great dribble. Here he goes. Pepe on the march. Not
Told you,
quite quick enough.
told you, man, that guy is good. That guy is really, he's worth every penny of the 72 million transfer fee. For this team,
Sure.
he's worth every single penny.
Mm.
Fantastic footballer.
Look at Antonio. Excellent job there holding up the ball. That's one thing. I watched the Leeds Fulham match that we'll talk about later, perhaps. But for the first half, Mitrovic just could not hold on to any ball. I mean, he didn't get much service anyway, but he couldn't hold on. He couldn't distribute. It's a bit of an unsung thing of the number nines. Look at Alan Shearer. He used to hold the ball up and distribute it extremely well, and never lost the ball. Or very rarely lost the ball. But today, Antonio's been trying to do that, and I think he's done a pretty good job.
Absolutely. But look at the statistic that came up on the board. They've had 8 shots on it, like 8 scoring attempts in this half, West Ham, to Arsenal's 1. That just
Yeah.
shows you how creative we've been in this game. How
And
incredible our football. Look at how.
who got caught on the ball? Who got caught on the ball being too slow?
And people will come and criticise and go, "Oh, you're being too negative." It's like I've watched this club for 5 to 6 years with this squad of players. I know exactly what's going on, and it's scary that they haven't even addressed that yet in this game, and they've won an FA Cup, and they think that this team's going to lead them to success. If you think this team's going to finish in the top 4 the way that it is, you've got to be one of the most deluded
Look at that
fans in
defending.
the history of footy.
Look at that defending. Look at that. As the West Ham player strode forward right to the middle, the top of the D, no one came to greet him. A bit like the way the goal was conceded. They're all too busy being clever or something. I don't know. They should just get out there and make him make a decision. Make him dribble you. Make him try a trick. Panic him a bit. But they just back off and back off. Uh,
But it's because they don't have anybody who can clear that long ball. Because, as you said, West Ham has completely flooded the midfield. So they're telling Arsenal, if you're going to get freedom in this game, you need to kick a long ball. Why not? Why doesn't Arsenal in this game now because obviously we're so poor on the left with Kolasinac there. Why
Oh,
don't they
here we go.
start playing everything from the right?
Why
You know?
did he wait so long before delivering that ball? Did you see that from Saka?
Yeah.
Look at that. Beautiful through ball. Just what you were talking about.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
That's what he does well, Zaka. And then he waits and waits and waits.
But
There's a
that's
big corner of green grass there. That's what Arsenal, when they're really firing on all cylinders, you don't wait with that pass. You just put it across and know that one of your players will be making the correct run. He
exactly.
just delayed and delayed. I'm not sure why.
It's
Hmm.
not like that's the brand of Arsenal football. Arsenal football, Arsene Wenger football was intuitive, one touch, amazing football. And that's why we
Hmm.
were so good for so long. I mean, he didn't have the personnel in the end to win EPLs after those glory days. But that's also the fact that they built a new stadium. They had to spend a hell of a lot of money to do that. And they just didn't have the money in the transfer market to be able to spend. But he still kept them relevant because they were able to play this one-touch football. And it's really, really important because the standard now of the lower EPL teams is so high because this is one of the most expensive leagues in the world that they can just sit back and just wait and just hold all of their eggs in that basket of the bus, cope with that pressure, break on the counter attack, and kick a goal.
Yeah.
West Ham's
Why
got
did Lacazette keep going for that ball? He had a player there. Your Kolasinac didn't communicate with him. He knew he was offside. He should have left it for Kolasinac. But of course, if you're on the pitch with Kolasinac, would you leave it for
no,
Kolasinac?
no, no.
So he'd rather be offside and cancel the play than let Kolasinac have the ball. And I think, quite frankly, Matty Neil, that you agree with him.
Yep, it's just
Mm.
just awful, just awful. But this is the thing: when we
What
watch
is?
when we
Tell
watch
me
Arsenal
what
games this year, and we watch Tierney play, everybody's going to try and go towards him. So he's going to have three players gravitate towards him because they're really scared of his long ball going through. And the thing is with Tierney is that he's got such a great left boot. He's going to draw these players to him. He's going to do this long ball, and guess who's going to be at the end of it? He's going to bite
Okay, Matty,
midfield.
I've reached peak hearing about how good Tierney is.
It's fantastic.
I feel like you've offered me a milkshake. I've been drinking it,
Mhm.
and I don't want a second one.
Well, I'm going to give you a second one anyway. I don't care. But I want to talk about the tactics in it and what I think is going to happen this year on the left-hand side, and why I think Aubameyang will win the Golden Boot is because
No,
he's going to
no
have.
chance.
Oh,
Go
I
on.
reckon he will. I reckon
No
he will
chance.
because he's going to get all this ball. He's going to have all this space, and that's the Arteta style. Cram the back line, get everything coming out from the back. Boom, get all this space up forward. I really do. I really think that's going to be the way. And if I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to pull me up in a episode 15 or 20 and go, mate, your analysis was completely wrong. I'm
It's not
happy
analysis.
to do that.
It's prediction. Let's get that clear. Did you know that when they do analysis of how stock market people make their predictions,
Mm-hmm.
when you actually do the maths that goes along with how often they predict stuff and how often that actually happens, they you have the same chance of getting those things right as a monkey throwing darts at a dartboard.
Ooh,
It's
they got
actually,
Lacazette instead of Aubameyang. Very interesting.
hear
Well,
me out. Hear me out. These are facts, right? So, in other words, the thing which makes a good stock market predictor is simply your ability to make other people believe that what you're saying will happen.
mhm.
And when they believe you and it goes right, you score big. When they believe you and it goes wrong, it's not your fault. This is this whole skill of this industry. Um, so you can make whatever prediction you like. And if you like Aubameyang, I mean, I definitely think he's got the quality. For me, he's one of the best finishers in the league by far, in the world, perhaps. But I think Mo Salah or Mane, these are the guys who, yeah,
I
these are the guys I think will top score.
well, I think they should, but there's every chance they're going to cancel each other out because they're so good. They might score.
That's true.
They might score 16, 17 goals each in the EPL
Uh,
season, and that's phenomenal. but it could have been 34 if it was 1. Do you know what I mean? Or it could have been
Yeah.
26.
So Aubameyang, you're saying Aubameyang has more chance to score, a bit like Vardy for Leicester City, because when you play a line up front, you're the one taking all the shots with all the space. The player's designed for you to finish it. Whereas Sadio Mane and Salah, they often kind of fight over who should have passed the ball when to whom. Mm.
That's the only reason
Mm.
I say what I'm saying. I think Vardy, Kane, and Oba have more chance of winning the Golden Boot because of that fact, because they're the vocal points of their
Kane? I don't know. I don't know if I'd put Kane in there. I reckon the amount of chances that Kane hasn't had since Mourinho took over,
team.
actually, I could be wrong, but in the first couple of games of this season, wow, I can't see him getting any chances. I think he should move to Madrid or somewhere like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate Kolasinac. He just got in the way of Xhaka when Xhaka was about to let rip. Stole the ball off him. What an imbecile.
Goon
What an
show.
imbecile. Sorry. You know, there's Bayer Leverkusen want £10 million for Kolasinac. They want 10 million in this transfer. I will pay his air flights to go there. I will pay his air flights personally, and I'm on JobKeeper. I'm doing excellently financially. I will pay for him to go over to Bayer Leverkusen.
Fair enough.
Money.
Another player who I remember hearing that expression about and agreeing with, Ashley Young. I thought I would definitely, I'd pay for him to take the third class coach back to West Bromwich Buttfuck or wherever he's from. Sorry, swearing online, not allowed.
Oh,
Pronunciation.
yeah.
But just a terrible player. But at Inter, he could achieve great things. And don't forget, he kind of did achieve great. He was part of a great team at Man United, but I just never saw anything from him that I thought was good football. But he's kind of flourished somewhere else. So if Kolasinac goes anywhere else in the world, do you think he could play good football anywhere?
Schalke, where he came from originally, because Bundesliga, it's not
Mm,
about pace in particular. It's about
mm.
that presence, that physical presence a bit more. And I think he'll do okay at Schalke. I think he'll actually do okay in Leverkusen as well. But
What are his good properties then? So that I'm guessing that means you think he has a really good first touch and he can see a 5 yard pass. Is that it? Is that what
I
he's
think,
got?
I think he has a great first touch, and he should do nothing else. A player should just run in front of him.
Right.
So he can get the ball, header it, and bring it to his feet. He can have the one touch, and then somebody should just like be running next to him. So they should be 2 players for 1. You know,
Mm,
so somebody who actually knows how to kick a footy should be
mm.
next to him, and then they can pass it. So they can have his attributes of his physicality, but might as well cut his feet off because there's no point in having feet. So,
Man, I think you should send him a personal letter and describe his progress. He'll probably send you yeah. Who knows what he'll send you? But
but I mean,
getting him behind the defense. Speaking of getting him behind the defense, so something Leeds did last week,
mhm,
and you often heard Lampard used to do this for Chelsea.
mhm,
It's called taking a gamble.
yeah,
It's that predictive ability or intuition to go, something's going to happen here.
yeah.
I reckon I'm just going to charge into the box. Lampard scored so many goals like that, and last week, Click, who I think is going to be a lead star, scored an absolute belter. I mean, he just went into the box. First touch, brilliant. Second touch, volley into the bottom left-hand corner. Brilliant goal. Do you remember this goal?
Yes, I do.
I don't see Arsenal players doing this, do you? Oh,
I'm not laughing at your comment. I'm not a professional footballer.
see, a player from the Championship wouldn't even do that. That was Sunday League.
That's doing a disservice to Sunday League. That's under 15s.
Yeah, that
Lampard,
is bad.
I love that guy.
Wow.
Even though he would be one of our mortal enemies as an Arsenal fan. What a
Mm.
footballer! What a footballer! What amazing time of football that was, having him, Gerrard, Scholes, Giggs, Vieira, Henri. Oh, just glory days. I love it. All such wonderful footballers. Perez. Oh, this is just makes me sad watching this.
I feel like players had a little more time and space to be individual, or more permission from their coaches, or who knows what the philosophy was, but they made their names by doing stuff that was very unique to them. And it's still the case that we value footballers that do stuff that's unique to them.
Yeah.
All these stats produce all these boring players that do this kind of crap, just passing the ball back and forth, never make a false touch, but never do anything interesting. Actually, that was a good part.
That was a great save by Leno then. That was an excellent save by Leno right then.
Excellent, excellent.
But what
Antonio,
I would say though is
oh,
I know.
wow.
I know. But that's
West Ham. There's 5 minutes left in this match, and West Ham's starting to. I haven't seen much urgency from Arsenal, but it seems like West Ham's really starting to put in some hard yards to try and make something happen here.
yeah,
Do you
and
think
that's going to be their downfall. It's going to be their downfall because if they attack, that's when Arsenal is at their strength because they'll soak the pressure up and they'll break them on the counter attack.
Could be.
That's what Arteta's done with this team really well. They're playing out from the back. Nice.
They look pretty solid defensively.
They look much better than what they've had last year, so that's a positive. So they can play like absolute rubbish, but they can still not lose games. They haven't been behind in this game the whole time. That's been very unusual of the Arsenal teams of the last 2 years. So that's a positive. Okay, so what are they going to do? They're going to play out the back. Okay, so Ceballos is going to really think of something, he's thinking about what he wants to do. All right, so he goes to Saka. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, Kolasinac, kick it backwards.
No, well, yeah, he did. But I think they're building a little, don't they look a bit impatient? No, it looks like an Italian over 60s side who've discussing the results of a bocce game.
Pepe. Finally, some nous. Finally, some balls in the plane, you know?
Look, who's making a movement? They're all just standing still again. Good ball. Early ball, goal. Yeah.
There you go. And that was after West Ham had full control for the last 10 to 12 minutes. Straight on the counter-attack. Boom. Fabulous. It's where they're the strongest. I will say this time and time again.
They found the gap, but look at how early he delivers this cross. He doesn't wait.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of teams these days take a couple of extra touches, try a trick, just time the early ball.
An 18-year-old.
And Ceballos.
Yeah.
Ceballos' ball. Like you were just singing his praises, and he appeared.
I can play, but he needs somebody behind him that he can trust so that he can do that, and not have to be defending and conceding goals from his direct opponent. Do you know what I mean? He needs that support behind him. If you had Kolasinac as your defender behind you and you're playing on that left-hand side...
Yes, we know how you feel about Kolasinac.
What would you...
I wanted to touch on something you said, but I just wanted to touch on something you were saying earlier, which I think is crucial. That actually, if Arsenal can win a game like this, when they don't create much at all and look poor, that could be a really good sign for a happy long season, because teams have to win when they're not gelling. You know, that was a famous Manchester United saying, wasn't it? They can win when it's grubby. Yeah.
Even though Man United played this corporate style of football, there was one thing that was really interesting during those times. There was for me, there were 3 heart and soul players in that team that was so... The 3 heart and soul. And maybe you might not agree with me. First one was Roy Keane. He would do anything for that Manchester United team. Absolutely anything. Ryan Giggs. Absolutely anything again for that team. You know what I mean? He was just a workhorse. And then Scholes. you have a triangle of players like that who just don't put up with anything, but would play for the badge, would never leave those clubs basically unless something diabolical happened. I mean that's what you need. It's real integrity to the way that they went about things, and they
Well, by the way, don't forget, I agree with you, don't forget, the manager didn't sell them. I
no,
mean, that's another thing. A feature of the modern game is managers just sell off these players. And he didn't. He could have sold off gigs a few times. I think other teams wanted him. They could have made a buck, but he just didn't. He refused. And he was backed by his board. Yeah.
but I mean look at that Ceballos. If anybody can tell me that he's not quality after that pass, it was just clinical football, and it looked good, but it was very fluent. And Saka was fantastic to pass that ball to Ceballos. And of course, Nketiah, he's in great form. He just scored a hat trick for the England under 23s. So he's come
Yeah.
with some form, and boom, just put it at the back of
So
the
you'd
net.
have to say great substitutions by Arteta. I mean, he really got that right, didn't he? Yeah. Brilliant. And now David Luiz is on. Maybe he'll give away a penalty or pick up the ball when the whistle hasn't gone or something.
I don't think so because I think all Dafford and Louise really needed last year was to sort of redeem himself. And one thing that he does well is when some of the fans start getting behind him, sort of lifts, like on these YouTube channels and stuff. A lot of these players do get influenced by that. So the fact that he played two excellent games with the Chelsea game and the Man City game and helped us win a trophy, which we haven't done for a long time. I feel that presence is really, really important, and so people have sort of got behind him a little bit. I know that they know that he's got his issues and stuff, but he's not going to be there much longer than a year because he's getting on now, and we have pretty decent defenders now. So he's just going to help Gabriel make a few more wiser decisions. We'll be able to help him because he'll just say to him, look at what I do. I know how to kick the ball. I know how to
He's
kick
sounding
the ball, but I don't understand spatial awareness. You've already got that in buckets and space. Now learn
Are you
exactly
sounding
how I
a reed,
feel.
Matty?
Hmm?
Matty, it sounds like you're sounding a reed.
No, that's Jemmy with a broom. It's just doing a great job. So
Gee, it's a weird sound. It either sounds like 100 pairs of Velcro shoes being opened one by one, or a broom. Or I thought you were scraping a bassoon reed because I know that
wish I
takes like
was
4 hours, doesn't it?
watching the foot. Oh, look at this move. That was not bad. But see,
Ooh,
those substitutions, they changed the whole formation of the game because they added a bit of speed and a bit of creativity within it. I tell you that Pepe, he is worth every single penny that's paid
yeah.
because since he's been on, we've actually gained our speed back, and the midfielders are doing a much better job because he's just like you can't just sit there and do nothing.
Mm.
You know?
West Ham are fighting. They're throwing bodies forward here.
But
Put the ball in. Oh no, they've passed it backwards.
yeah, that's it, and that's the Pepe pressure.
Yeah, he's really hounding them.
He's
Excellent work, oh, man.
Lazanak doing? What's he doing? Sorry,
Play
Aubameyang
the ball.
into
Play the ball. What are you dribbling there for? West Ham? That's it. Okay. But at least you tried. Yeah.
yeah.
Terrible.
Oh, absolutely. But what causes terrible football? All it takes is one person like Pepe to just run up to a player and create that sort of doubt, just the 1 millisecond of doubt, and then you lose that fluency with your move because you're wary of somebody. That's how influential a player like him
True.
is on the field. You know?
By the way, I have a prediction that your keeper, Leno,
Yeah.
he's going to get chipped this season. Leno is priming himself. He's going to get chipped. Someone's going to see him off his line.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a keeper play so far up the park.
Oh, you didn't see? Did you watch Martinez in the was it the final, the Chelsea final, where he nearly took it out of the box, like his hands were just on the line of the box? You have to go see that. That's the most ballsy keeping I've ever seen. Like everybody
When you
says
say the
about it.
Chelsea final, you're assuming I know. I'm assuming it was against Arsenal but I don't know which final that was. Sorry, because I don't really follow Arsenal.
Fair
Despite the big logo in the background, I'm not a fan.
Oh yeah, you are. You love it. You love it. You
Uh,
know that we want to fly better. Look at this. Look at this beautiful jersey. It is
Come on.
just gorgeous. Wembley 2020. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
I'd
Always,
rather smell a tub of Vaseline. Dude.
always forward. Isn't that just awesome? Always forward. We're going to win a game that we should have lost. I
Yeah.
can't believe it. We were outplayed this whole game. The fact that we did not lose this game, I think, is an actual good sign that we might have a reasonable season. This game,
Yeah.
we lost 3-1. Just being real. Should have lost it
I
3-1.
mean, can we see a back heel or a bit of juggling? Look at that. Nice through ball.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, that. And here, why did he take so long? How many touches do you want? Oh, man.
that was the best bit of play in the whole game, nearly. That
Yeah,
bit
just
there.
about. And Ketia, I think he might have made up his mind a little quicker just to kind of hit it.
Should have smacked it. But guess who that, Fabinski, the keeper? He was an old
Yeah,
Arsenal keeper. He won
well,
us
that's
the
right.
I believe it was the 2013 FA Cup or 2013-2014 one where Ramsey scored the winning goal against Hull. He was the keeper in that game.
Right, I see. I see.
It's a lot of Arsenal players that have been moved on. Kieran Gibbs, who plays for West Brom, he was also our left back. Plenty of Arsenal players.
Kieran Gibbs got sent off this morning, didn't
Yep, that's what I was talking to you about when the game absolutely went to it. Yeah,
He's one of those players, he just seemed to disappear. Like, what happened to Luke Chadwick? There's another one. Poor old Luke Chadwick. He was a Man United player. And he just kind of fell off the radar.
winners are grinners. That's all I can say. And you're
Mm.
watching the Breath of Fresh Footy. And as you can see, we really did not enjoy that game of footy at all. But all
I
it
did.
takes is three
I enjoyed it.
excellent moves in a game of footy, and you score a goal. That's the brilliant thing about it, isn't it? You can have the worst games, but the goals, when they come through and the way that those passages of play is the reason why we love football. Fluency, excellent technique, and just really thoughtful and creative ways to be able to score a goal. Isn't that right, Phil? It's three creative things.
So sorry to interrupt your interesting wrap up, but don't speak for me because I enjoyed that game immensely. I enjoyed hearing your insights and thoughts. I enjoyed trying to think of something to say about that match. That was enjoyable for me. And when you see a match like that, it only makes you enjoy the better matches even more. So there's a yin and yang to that. If every match was breathless and exciting, you'd get bored of that too soon. So I was surprised at how boring it was, but that surprise was interesting to me. So good on them. They deserve every car that they have and every big house that they own. I'm sure a bunch of drunks at the pub couldn't have provided more entertainment than that. At least they wouldn't have looked so serious when they were doing it, and we might have had a bit of a giggle. Hey, but the world is full of different flowers, and these flowers are like succubus, kind of low, easy to feed things that grow low to the ground, aren't they? And your Arsenal team, good luck to them.
Good luck to them. But having said that, I was very worried when I came into this game because after seeing last night's results with like Manchester United losing 3-1 to Crystal, I mean, it just shows you that the EPL is very even. And if you're off your game, you're going to lose matches. So for me, it's a relief to see us completely off. I would have given us a 1 out of 10 playing that game, right? 1 out of 10, but we still managed to get 3 points. And that's the key. If you can win ugly, it's very, very important to be able to win ugly in a season like this. And I think you said that earlier on, and you're so correct. You just got
Right.
to win in any way that you can. or get a result or something. So if you're playing ugly against a much better opponent and you can get a draw out of that, that's fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Like just getting any sort of points in this league is so important when you're playing poorly. So it's a relief to see that happen. But you must also be interested to see what's going on because you predicted Man United to win that Crystal Palace game. They were so poor.
How wrong was I? Yeah, what's going on there? I watched the kind of highlights of that match, and Man United. It looks like they're trying to play similar football to the kind that Arsenal's trying to play, but they're not winning. There's no diagonal runs in the box. It's all very static. They don't make the right decisions on the counter attack. It's almost like they play better in Europe. They don't like teams that park the bus. They don't know what to do. Fernandez has had so many great games. You can forgive him for maybe didn't have his best game because you can't. And Pogba. I mean, have you heard Paul Scholes rip into Pogba?
No,
Wow, man, you should hear that. Scholes, when he was playing, did not like interviews. He gave very few. He didn't want to be in the limelight. Now he's out of that. He's feeling very free to let the opinions flow to the left, the right, to the centre, in your face. And Pogba, who looks like the most elegant footballer you've ever seen, Scholes doesn't rate him.
It's very interesting, but I would trust Scholes' opinion given how much of a champion he was and how effective he was and how brilliant he was at football. You can't really dispute what he says when you've got somebody with that sort of track record. Maybe it's a bit left field, but it's a very interesting perspective. And it really showcases what footballers value from yesteryear to what they value now. Maybe he's got a point. You've got
Exactly.
not
On the other hand,
showing.
how many World Cups has France won? And wasn't Pogba in that World Cup winning French team? And didn't he hold down the midfield and beat the best in the world playing for their country? Scholes did a good job playing for England. Maybe it wasn't his fault they didn't win, but they didn't win.
No.
And he quit his England career rather young. He had asthma, right? He had asthma, and maybe they ruled that the medications were illegal, or who knows what really happened.
Interesting, but I mean, again, there are players who play better in different teams. Pogba gels brilliantly with the French team, doesn't much with the Man United team. Scholes was just through and through DNA Man United. Played perfectly for his style of footy. That's why he was so effective. Just like Messi in Barcelona. Match made in heaven, basically. Argentina, not as much so. I mean, you can't be perfect in every squad that you're in, you know. So just work with players.
This way of thinking reminds me of something I wanted to say about the greatest number two. So look at Ronaldo and Benzema. Benzema, a fantastic striker in his own right, but his real genius, I reckon, was to get out of the way of Ronaldo, to feed the ball to Ronaldo, to contribute where he could, but his ego had to be lowered. He managed to do that so that Ronaldo had that space. You could argue that Ronaldo would have made it for himself anyway. And so even Diego Maradona, he can't make those no-look genius passes unless someone's making the right run. So perhaps with Pogba, no one's making the move for him. He can't make the pass, and they don't understand what he can do, because until you make the run, you can't see what kind of passes he can make. Yin and yang, sort of going together like one thing, you know.
Absolutely. But also we have to remember, and I'll finish off with this note, and you can add to it, and then we'll call it an afternoon or a morning or an evening, whatever you want it. I feel like it's only the second round of the EPL as well. We've had a really, really crushed up preseason where teams actually haven't really knuckled down their formations, and it's so bizarre that the transfer market is going to be finishing probably in the fourth or fifth round of the EPL. So teams will probably be the most settled in probably round 8 or 9, where they actually had all their teams settled down, they've got all their transfers, and they know what they're going to be doing. There's going to be still so much makeshift change within these teams because we've still got 2.5 weeks left of transfers. It's a very, very unique season. So anything could happen. at any time, you know, Phil.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it's really interesting. But I must say, it's going to be very fascinating if we're going to get these random pockets of amazing games and very boring ones as well. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the teams that are playing flashy now. Can they sustain that for a 38-week season? Can the boring teams change up their tactics, or will they stay boring for 38 games? I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But on that note, I think we should head and thanks for this watch along. It was a pleasure always. I love your insight, and I think that you've been really bang on with a lot of the things that you've said. And I think your analysis of saying that the game needs that sort of creativity was very, very evident in this game. So thanks for your thoughts and things, and I hope that we can watch a much more exciting watch along of maybe a Leeds game or something, which could be very interesting in the future.
Boredom is the fertile soil out of which creativity comes. So if it's an exciting match, probably our commentary won't be as good. It won't reach the heights that it did today. It'll be, the match will speak for itself even. Imagine that.
Screaming the whole time, going, oh my gosh, oh man, this is so good, this is so riveting. Might just be a scream along, you know what I mean? So anyways, thanks heaps, Bill, and thanks for your insight. And we're a Breath of Fresh Footy. Remember to subscribe. So press that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and also like our page on Facebook. The more people we get to expose this site to, the more watch-alongs and the more interviews that we can do during this time. And if we can't be in those stadiums, we might as well be here online 24 hours a day, cheering along all the teams that we support and all the games of footy that are being played in England or maybe around the world. So it's a good thing to happen. I'm Matthew. That's my good friend Phil, co-host of Breath of Fresh Footy, and we'll see you again very, very soon.